look, the appropriations process is ugly. Democracy is ugly. This is the way it works every year, always has. We're trying to turn the aircraft carrier back to real budgeting and spending reform.
That was the House Speaker just this morning explaining why we keep having these threats of a government shutdown over and over and over again. By the way, there's one scheduled for tomorrow, but we're this close to avoiding it. And the grand plan to avoid it? We're going to have a government shutdown next week instead. I'll explain why that's happening in a second. But first, this kick the can down the road plan is part of a deal the House Speaker cut with Democrats, and he was able to just pass it through the House of Representatives. The final vote was 320 to 99. Democrats got this one over the finish line with 207 yes votes and 113 Republican yes votes. More Republicans voted no with 97, and just 2 Democrats voted no. 13 lawmakers did not vote today. Now, the partial government shutdown will still happen tomorrow unless the Senate unanimously passes this very same bill and the president signs it before the end of the day tomorrow. We are expecting the Senate will take up this bill later tonight, and we are expecting them to pass it and the president to sign it. And if all that happens, as I said at the beginning of the video, this bill, called a continuing resolution, would keep everything status quo. The government would stay funded until next Friday, March 8th, when about 25% of the government would shut down, with the rest of the government shutting down on March 22nd. So why is Congress just kicking the can down the road for like a few more days? What's the point of that? Because House and Senate leadership just said they have a deal on 6 of the 12 government funding bills called appropriations bills, which, by the way, should have been passed before September 30th of last year, but I digress. And they just need a few more days to pass these 6 bills now to keep the government funded for the rest of this fiscal year. Those bills would fund the Departments of Agriculture, Commerce, Justice, Interior, Energy, Veterans Affairs, Transportation, and Housing and Urban Development. Lawmakers would then have 2 more weeks to pass the remaining 6 appropriations bills, including funding for Departments of Defense, Homeland Security, State, Health and Human Services, and Labor. It's a strategy the House Speaker stands by.
But you have separate tranches of bills instead of one big omnibus that nobody can read or understand or have a process in. This has been a long, deliberate process. And then what I'm very excited about and anxious to do is turn the page on FY24 and get immediately into FY25 and that process to change the way that's done, to back it up on the calendar, to do everything we can to get that job done by end of summer so that we're not coming up at the end of September, the end of the fiscal year, and having to talk about, CRs and omnibuses and everything. We are going to do everything we can to turn the aircraft carrier around